Hey everyone, it is Wele Nayo back again with another episode of my podcast, All the Great Stories. I am super duper excited to be sharing this episode with you guys. I know I haven't done one in a while. I'm still figuring out how I'm doing my podcasts, all 3 or 4 of them. I don't even know how many I have because I want to keep building on that. So it's been a while, but I've recently just came back from a trip to Toronto and I had some creative inspiration that I think I desperately needed. So I knew that as soon as I got back, I really wanted to record a podcast. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm grateful to do it for All the Great Stories because that's one that I've really been thinking about recently. And I really want to just jump in and do another episode. So before I jump into the meat and potatoes of this episode, the main topic that I want to go over, I just kind of want to give a little bit of housekeeping notice or something. Obviously this podcast has had a long road to go through and it's still going on a long road, and some episodes I'm proud of, some episodes I'm not. I mean, it's only been 3, but I just want to get the stuff out there for now, and I know it's not the most professional. I don't really have a theme song yet. I'm still working on that, and I'm still kind of working on a set schedule to put stuff out and really having a format. So, please bear with me, and hopefully as this thing grows, as I grow more comfortable in doing podcasting and creating content, that, things will get better. I can redo episodes later on with better audio and maybe in the future having video and stuff like that. But please just know that I am very thankful if anybody does listen to these, that you stick with me and you have stuck with me and you're going through these changes with me. Like right now I got like a little lapel mic so I can hopefully have some better audio for you guys and it's not very quiet and hopefully it's not too loud. I'm still figuring out the whole audio situation. So again, thank you for bearing with me, and you probably will continue to have to bear with me as we're going through this journey, and I just really want to express my gratitude to you guys, so thank you. So, the main topic I want to talk about today, and of course All the Great Stories is a podcast where I share like my favorite stories in pop culture, movies, comic books, TV, I guess video games, even though I don't really play as much anymore, but really just any story that has impacted me in my life. And so, and also how it's impacted my life, but also how it has helped me in my mental health recovery journey. I don't want to get even if you're not in mental health or substance use recovery or any kind of recovery, you can still find inspirations from stories. So, that's just a thing for my story, my personal story. But, for anybody, this podcast is for anyone who just wants to hear me ramble on about characters that I love and that have really impacted my life. So, basically this episode is pretty much how I go through my day of me just talking to myself, because that's how I kind of cope with the world. And I talk a lot to myself and to my dog Danny, against her will, about, the stuff that I like. And so today I wanted to talk about, the first big character / story that impacted my life from, a little kid. And I am not unique in this because he has been a cultural icon for probably almost 100 years, if maybe even more. I'm not sure the exact date that he was first published. Okay, so I just checked and he was actually published in 1938. So again, almost 100 years. And this character is Superman, Clark Kent, a staple of American pop culture, probably, influencing the world at large since 1938. And I, as a kid, was in love with Superman. I think for a couple Halloweens, maybe in a row, I dressed up as Superman. I had, like the cape, the outfit, and then like the one I saw, I was looking at pictures of me from when I was younger, like a couple of weeks ago, and I had like a ball cap, like it was also a hat that like went with the costume, even though Superman didn't wear a costume. And as a kid, as a young girl, like I loved action figures and stuff more than, Barbies and dolls. And again, I'm not unique in that, like plenty of girls did and do. And, liking what you like doesn't have to, it's not, restricted by your gender or who you are. So it never bothered me, but like Superman was my favorite hero. And, I love comics to this day. I read a few as a kid, and then I try to remember my life, which is sometimes hard. And then kind of, I always read, so it was like teetering on and off. I would read comic books or graphic novels, and I wouldn't. And, with the rise of superhero movies being like the dominant thing in our, popular pop culture, like zeitgeist, it is, it's completely changed the game. And, right now I read more into Marvel comics, watch the MCU movies, which I know are different from the comics. I have seen some of the DCEU, I guess that would be DC's movie universe. I've seen those, and they have, the two are obviously very different. I won't get into that, but I love different superheroes now, but like my first love of a superhero was Superman when I was a kid. Like there was nobody who could even come close to him. Really, not just superheroes, but really any character growing up could come close to Superman. I watched Superman, the animated series, which was kind of like a spin-off of Batman, the animated series, which is, still like highly regarded as a great, piece of fiction with Batman. I know some people sometimes like look down on animation and say it's just for kids, but I watched it about a month or two ago because now it's on HBO Max, as is Superman, the animated series. And no, I am not sponsored by HBO Max, Warner Brothers, not sponsored by anyone. But, I started as a kid, and like I'm kind of trying to remember just like a quick kind of segue, not really segue, but just stepping off the road. I thought that it was like I had it on a VHS tape, and I don't think it was like the entire series. Like I think it was only like 1 or 2 episodes, and I thought it was kind of a movie. So when I was trying to go back and look for this like a couple months ago, I was like, okay, what Superman movie was it? And I just couldn't find out, and then I saw it was an animated series, and I'm like, that kind of looks familiar. So I watched the first couple episodes, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is what it was. So I don't know, like back then, if they had kind of like done like a preview with like a couple episodes becoming a movie or not, but that was like the big thing for me, was watching that like repeatedly. And of course with VHS tapes, like you had to rewind, and it's not as easy as going on HBO Max now and just clicking a show and it pops up, and if you need to rewind it, it's just a button that does it in like 2 seconds. Another like interesting anecdote about my love of Superman was when I was a kid, with like different characters and the stories that I like watched on in movies, and kind of like read in books. I wasn't like reading like long books by myself back then, obviously. So in preschool, like I would write my name like on a paper, like a worksheet, like as the character I was. So like for a while, like I would write Superman when it said my name, because I was like, I can be Superman. So and probably like the funniest, cutest one, which my family still brings up today, about my love of Superman, was at my dad's house. We had this big porch in the backyard, and of course it wasn't like very high up, but I would jump off of it, and I had the Superman cape, and so when I would jump, I would look back like at my cape to see if I was really flying, and obviously I wasn't. But, a kid can always dream. And even now, like if you play a game or people ask, like, what kind of superpower would you want? Like, I pretty much always say flight because, I don't know, it's just, like, I guess it was just, going back to that time when I would pretend to fly off of my back porch. So, and also because you could save money, not having to buy airplane tickets, and I wouldn't have to drive either. Like, it would just be so much easier. Like, transportation is very, very important. Like, you learn that as you get older, but that is neither here or there, so let me just continue on. I'm looking at my notes, and that keeps me on track, but sometimes I go off track, obviously. So, I guess the big question that I ask myself now as an adult, like looking back as a kid, because I really wasn't thinking about it, but like, why was Superman so special to me back then? As like a 4 or 5-year-old girl who, I mean, being, black and a girl and all that stuff, like I didn't look anything like Clark Kent, like the Superman, but he was like my hero, my idol, and I just loved him so much. So it was like, why was he so special to me? And I think now looking back as an adult, like, obviously, and he still does, like, Superman represented hope and courage and doing the right thing. Like, he saved people. He went up against the bad guys like any hero does. Like, that's why we love heroes. Like, they do the right thing even when, the odds are stacked against them. Even when they're, like, on the brink of death or defeat, like, they still come back and they do what they have to do. And I think all of us kind of aspire to do that in a certain way. I know I do. I hope I have enough bravery in a way to do that, but I'm still working on it. So, yeah, Superman is a superhero, and he's a hero in a comic book, so of course he does what almost all of them do, which is representing hope and doing the right thing and all that. So that's kind of like an easier answer, because I think, like, anyone can kind of, anyone says that about a hero. Again, like, he always saved the day, and he helped people in need, and he was strong, and he could fly. And obviously, going back, I said, like, my favorite superpower would be flight. So, like, those few things, like, that's why Superman was so special to me as a kid, and why he is still special to me now, even though it's a little bit different, just in how I've changed. Like, I don't really go back to Superman as much anymore. I do want to. I've been looking at, different comics and stuff to start reading again. I have my Amazon Kindle. Again, I'm not sponsored by Amazon at all. But I want to get back into that, but I'm not as, I guess, close to Superman as I once was. But, hopefully through this podcast and through this episode specifically, I can kind of reconnect and, aspire to get back to that level of connection that I had with Superman. So, there was one, like, particular thing that stood out to me about Superman that I wanted to bring up today and kind of go a little bit deeper into. And that is in the animated series. It's in the first episode. It's like after, Clark Kent is sent to Earth, or Kal-El, and then he's sent to Earth. I really hope I said that right. Sent to Earth, he's grown up, and then, like, in the animated series, it's kind of like a short montage of, like, oh, he saved these people, and then he became Superman. Then it's like the world is astounded by, like, this man who can fly, who is saving people. And there's I think in the series, when I watched it a couple months ago, I think it was like a news show clip of someone saying, like, oh, like, Superman is an angel, like, he's an angel helping people in need. And so, that, as a kid, I remember my dad pointing that out. And like thinking about it now, like this idea of like Superman and then other superheroes being angels, and it's like, you know, angels obviously has a religious connection, but I think angels can like exist in our own world, not supernaturally, but just people in general can be angels. And so I kind of start seeing like superheroes as angels, and not just those who can fly, because, you know, angels can fly, and there's that connection, but like even the heroes that don't fly, like they can be angels as well. And, you know, Superman being an angel makes a lot of sense to me now. And, like, you know, he protects and looks after those who need help, which is what angels are supposed to do. Like, they're helpers. They're there for you when you need them. And, you know, growing up, especially, you know, dealing with my mental health stuff, with anxiety and depression and then bipolar, you know, I felt like many times, like, I needed an angel to, like, come help me and inspire me and, you know, help me back up and to, you know, remind me to keep going and to not give up. And so I still feel that way in adulthood. Like, I'm kind of looking for, like, not really like a guardian angel, but above all, just a friend. And, you know, superheroes, even though they exist in these books or these movies, in other medium, or, yeah, whatever, but, you know, they can be our friends. Like, when you're lonely, like, I grew up not more like lonely, but like I just didn't have a lot of friends, so like I just like dove into stories like through movies and books, and like the characters were my friends in a way. Like, they were the ones who I was like emotionally connecting to. Like, as I mentioned in the last episode, like I'm a huge crybaby when it comes to like watching movies or TV shows or reading books, like, because I get like so emotionally invested in the characters, and they are my friends in a way. They are my angels, which is sounding kind of weird now, but hopefully it makes sense. You know, and I think with seeing them as angels, and not like to get religious or anything because angels are tied to religion, but like putting our hope, especially when we're in recovery, from mental health or substance use disorder, or just in need of recovery from something bad that happened, like we can kind of put our hope in these characters and these stories because they can help us keep going. And, you know, if we watch like a Marvel film or a DC film, and, you know, the villain's about to win, and then, you know, the hero doesn't give up, and like they end up saving the day, like despite some of them almost dying or almost being defeated, like they don't let that stop them. Like, they keep going because they believe in something bigger. And, you know, we can put our hope in that. We can see those characters and be like, you know what, they might be fictional, but like that, those real qualities of like not giving up, of, you know, persevering, like that lives in every single one of us. Like, we do that every day, maybe not on the scale of like fighting like a super villain who is gonna like blast a hole through the planet or something weird, I don't know, but just every day, like if we're feeling like super depressed, we don't even want to get out of bed, but like we still get up and we do something that day, like that's something to be celebrated. Like, that is something in our own like hero's story, our own hero journey for ourselves. So yeah, I think, kind of starting to wrap this up because I've come to the end of my notes in my, you know, trusty notebook. I think that, you know, we're all heroes of our own stories, and we can be angels of our own stories, and not just that, but we can be angels in other people's stories, and, you know, helping others, especially after you've gone through something yourself. Like, I feel like that's a real gift that maybe we as humans don't always appreciate as much, but I think we really should. It really is something like magical that, you know, despite everything that somebody can go through, whatever hardships they can, but they can still put on a smile. They can still help another person in need. Like, that's something that I think we should keep in mind when we might feel hopeless, like that we can make it, that we are our own heroes, and we can also be a hero to someone else. We don't have to wear a cape, even though capes are awesome. They could put you in danger. If you've seen The Incredibles, the Pixar movie, you will know how they can put you in danger, but that is neither here nor there. We don't have to put on a costume. We can just be heroes every single day when we wake up. We can be wearing sweats and a t-shirt or the fanciest costume if you're a cosplayer. But like, we can be heroes to other people and, take inspiration from Superman. And, obviously I didn't dive into the lore of Superman. I'm not a person who would be very good at explaining that to people. It's just kind of what he means to me. That's the history that I'm kind of going into. I won't go into the lore of his whole story. But anyway, we can take Superman, other superheroes, examples, and really find ourselves and find our strengths in them. And, if you want to go back and rewatch a show from your childhood just to make you feel better, go and do that. It's so, I think, with streaming, it is so cool that we can just access stuff. When I was going through HBO Max, and I was like, holy crap, that's a series that I've been looking for, so I can relive this thing that I haven't watched for probably over 20 years. That's crazy, and we're pretty blessed to have that, if you have streaming. And so even if it's not a TV show or a movie, but a book or a comic book that you can go back to, do that. Hold on to stuff from your childhood that can make you feel better even when you're an adult, even when you're older. It doesn't matter how old you are, things can still inspire you. And, remember that you can be an angel, not just for yourself in your own life, and really do value yourself and take care of yourself first. But you can be an angel in somebody else's life. You can be someone's Superman, even if you or they don't know it. That's just something I try to keep in mind. And of course it's hard, when life kind of drags you down, you get distracted, but it really is something special that I hope anybody listening to this can take away from this episode. So yeah, that is my episode on Superman. Like I said, probably in the future, once I get better with podcasting and talking into a microphone for 20 or so minutes and have better audio, I'll probably go deeper into that, but this is just something I wanted to get out there. So I'm trying to grow my podcasting content and experience, and sometimes I feel I would wait to get I had to have things perfect, and it's good to grow upon. It's good to set standards for yourself, but also sometimes it's just do the thing. And so I'm just doing it. And I think with art or other stuff that is deals with creativity, there's always a chance later to build upon that. So in the future I'll probably build upon this in every single episode I've done before this, which is only 3 of them. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm just glad that I was able to record this and not hopefully get too off track in what I was saying. I'm really hoping I didn't. Probably did to some degree, but yeah, so I thank you guys for listening to this. The next few episodes, I think I'm going to be focusing a lot on superheroes, just because that's a huge thing, more from Marvel than from DC, but I'll try to spice it up a little bit and just continue to show you what lessons I've learned from these stories and how they're helping me in my life and my recovery. And I really hope that you guys stay tuned and listen for it and kind of keep up with me as I go through this journey of podcasting. So yeah, thank you guys for listening once again, and I'll see you later.